wait a few minutes till everybody has arrived from the lobby. And yeah, we're happy to start today and talk lots about Omnichannel and giving you at least 10 tips about Omnichannel experiences and how to improve those in retail. Thanks for joining. And as I said, let's wait one more minute till everybody has arrived. For those who are already in the webinar, on top of the screen, you have an option to start with a Q&A, a question and answer section within the webinar. So if you have any questions during our talk, have questions about several tips, just let us know. And probably at the end of the webinar, we will go through them and Linnea or Paul or myself will try to answer them. So on the top left in the screen, you have a Q&A section to use. All right, I think we're good to go. Everybody is there. Welcome. Good morning to start with. And today the webinar is joined by Linnea from Sitoo. Welcome. And my colleague Paul van Renselaar from Tweakwise as well. As I mentioned, we'll talk lots about Omnichannel and Omnichannel experiences, and have at least 10 tips ready for you to improve those experiences. Let's start with a brief introduction. Ladies first, of course. Linnea, please go ahead.
Thank you so much for having me. Linnea Almeida is my name. I'm a Global Enterprise Sales Manager at Sitoo. And I'm super excited to be here today and hopefully guide you through some tips in terms of the Omnichannel journey. And please ask questions. It's always more fun like that. So yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining. Welcome. Paul, go ahead.
All right. Yeah, thanks. My name is Paul. I work for Tweakwise, obviously, based in the Netherlands. I'm here as a business development manager. Very happy to be here. As Linnea already mentioned, although we are the ones talking, please let's make this as interactive as possible. So if you have any questions, please ask, and Ronald will make sure that some of us will answer these questions as good as possible. We'll give you some tips. We don't have that long today, so if you have any questions also after the call, please reach out to us, and we're happy to talk to you as well after this meeting or after this webinar. So thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. And indeed, let's make a nice interactive session. Time-wise, let's give it a start and get those tips going. Love to hear about, well, your experiences and challenges in Omnichannel and how we could make life happier in that area. Let's go to the first slide. This is a little introduction on Tweakwise and Sitoo as a company. As you see, Tweakwise is very active in Europe. Tweakwise is a product discovery solution, optimizing site search and merchandising on web shops. We have over 400 customers worldwide, active in more than 100 countries at the moment. Of course, online and offline have many touch points, and that's where we're going to talk about today. So this is just Tweakwise in short. Maybe you, Linnea, can talk a bit about Sitoo as well.
Absolutely. Well, we're a cloud-native POS and unified commerce platform. We unified physical stores with online sales channels. We work within the retail and lifestyle sector. Our platform that is available in 40 markets, part of the MAC Alliance, that is microservices, API first, cloud native, and headless. And so work to create positive shopping experience cross channels, basically.
Nice. So we definitely have the right persons on board today during the webinar. Would you guys take it away with the first tips we have?
Yeah, super. Yeah, I will start off and talk a little bit about composable architecture. Hey, this is like a big subject, of course, so we'll cover it quite briefly. But talking about the evolution of retail, we started with single channel, moving on to omnichannel, multi-channel, and today we're working with unified commerce. We are more connected than ever today. We have like higher expectations on our systems to be more connected, exchange real-time data to help us provide omnichannel journeys and also help us get our data accessible so we can make smart business decisions.
Yeah.
Looking at the evolution, we can see that scientists says, like here in the image, 18 to 20 years out, the technology will be 100 to 1 million times more advanced. That is a significant number. And on top of this, shopping behaviors continues to change. We purchase things in new ways. We have new expectations on shopping journeys. There are new trends, like if not every day, like every other week, every second. Just look at TikTok. It moves like in rapid pace. So when we do our tech stack and build that, we have to keep this in mind. We'll live with our systems for quite a long time. Like an ERP, you live with that for 20 years. So it not only has to cater for your current needs, but it also have to cater for your future needs, whatever they may be. So you need to build a composable tech stack to keep up with the speed of evolution and not be like hold hostage by a system supplier's development capacity, staffing, or their ambitions. You have to be in the driver's seat and make your own decisions and also be able to adapt over time. Because as I said, you need to build a stack that cater not only for today's needs, but also for the future. And I mean, hey, we don't know exactly what the future will hold. So make sure to work composable so you can adjust over time. So yeah, that is like the first thing and the base that needs to be set to actually have a good start of the strategy.
Yeah, so
right, thanks for that. Oh, sorry.
Basically, you're saying, Linnea, like the tech stack should be in place to enable retailers to adjust and deliver speed in their enhancements.
Exactly, and
Yeah, nice.
to make changes over time.
Yeah, cool.
All right. Moving on to the next tip, I believe, coming from Tweakwise side in this case. Linnea talked about a more broader perspective. Now we're diving into some more, let's say, concrete tips that we can give related to Omnichannel from Tweakwise side, as we are an online tool or a software tool. The tips will mainly be about, let's say, e-commerce and how you can combine this with your brick and mortar stores, for example, and how you can really benefit from this and benefit from this omnichannel experience and strategy, let's say. So yeah, well, we'll start with returns as a tip. And of course, nobody wants returns. However, you are never able to get rid of them completely. But with Tweakwise, for example, but in general, you should think about how can I minimize these returns. And we believe you can minimize returns by, as you see on the screen as well, by pushing items customers love. And how do you know customers love a product? I will explain a little bit later, but we do know that, well, over 99.9%, so basically everybody reads reviews online before the shop. So they read the experience of different customers, and based on that, they try to decide whether to buy this product or not. So with this in mind, you should really think about, okay, how do I want to sort my products in my online environment to make sure that I sell the products, or at least the customer buys the products that are less likely to return. And you can do this, of course, based on data. And I think data in general will be quite important in this webinar as well. And we believe that pushing products, for example, with high reviews, will make sure that people will buy these products more often, and the chance of getting these products back, getting these returns back, will let's say decrease. Not only looking at product reviews, but you can also, for example, take return rates in this equation and use return rates in the sorting business ruling, let's say, within your shop, to make sure that these products with low return rates, high product reviews, will end up high on your lister pages or high in your search results, and indeed to make sure that they are bought more frequently, and in the end will have less returns, which is of course good for the profitability, less cost, so on and so on. And of course, the environment factor here is also in place, I think. Yeah. So that was the first tip from our side.
So the return policy actually starts with lots of insights and proper data.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah,
I think Linnea will tell more about returns as well in this. In the next months.
Exactly. And like looking at returns, of course, you don't want them, but when they do occur, you need to manage them in a good and sophisticated way. So like looking at delivery and returns options, they need to be quite flexible. And if we're moving on, we have today about like 40 different Omni scenarios, and they are just keep on growing. There are more and more scenarios every day. Of course, these are like fairly similar in some ways. They're not huge differences between each and every one of them. So what you need to do is not to implement all 40. Of course, you should look at your product. You should look at the way your customers would like to purchase these and implement the ones that are relevant to your business. And what, like, since you're working with composable architecture as well, you can also adapt over time. So looking at omni purchase journeys, you have like different ways of doing so. Of course, it's like click and collect, click and return, buy in store A, return in store B, endless aisle. I mean, the list is long. But if you're working with this in a good way, it will be a competitive advantage, of course. You will have an increase of sales. You will have increased customer satisfaction, just to mention a few positive benefits with this. And we can see that 80% of customers who return a product in store actually spends the refund in store. 74% of retailers report the customer bought more things when they are in store picking up a click and collect purchase. So this will increase your sales, and this will actually help you have a better customer experience. So how to do so is, of course, also to communicate to the client or the customer, like how is your return policy? Have it easy to find, clearly communicated, customer friendly. Also, like try to drive the click and collect orders into the store, so you use the stores as fulfillment centers. And of course, the start of this is communication, and also making it clear to the customers that you are providing these options. So that is of biggest importance, I would say.
I think it's a nice extension to what we see online. We always talk about the average order value and increasing the online order value. This is a really smart strategy to actually extend it to your brick and mortar stores. Yeah, cool.
Right. Moving on to the next one, I think a real great combination that we can make between the e-commerce environment and your brick and mortar stores. So the tip here is to apply the traditional merchandising tactics to the online shopping experience. And I'll explain a little bit more about that in the next slides, because we know merchandising, especially in the brick and mortar stores, is a real well-known concept. Here you see an image, for example, in a fashion store, but for example, in supermarkets, it's already for decades. They think about, okay, what should I put on eye level? What should I put on foot level, for example? And we believe that why not apply these same merchandising tactics that you do in your online store, also in your online store. And then we are really talking about sorting algorithms, sorting business rulings. So what products do I put on in front of the customer? Because we know in brick and mortar that everything on eye level is buy level, as we say it. So what you see is what you buy. And honestly, within the online environment, it's not that different. So also there it applies, eye level is buy level. So what is put on top of the first page, for example, when you do a search query on your shop or on a category or lister page, that's the product they most probably will buy. So in the end, you really have to think about, as an online shop, what kind of products do I want to put on top of the first page to increase the chance of people buying them. And here again, we have to talk about parameters and talk about data itself to make the optimal online shelf layout, because you really have to think about, okay, what kind of products do I want to show to the product? So You have to look at, for example, Google Analytics data like clicks or previously bought, or things like popularity. But also on the other hand, you have to think about, okay, what product do I want to sell? Do I have, for example, products with higher margins or brands with higher margins, or do I maybe have overstock of products that I want to get rid of somehow? And these kind of things you have to put in a cocktail or a mix in your sorting on your online store, to make sure that the chance of selling these particular products that are interesting for both the customers as for you is getting higher. And honestly, you can do this the other way around as well, because you have this data online. So why not also advise your staff crew in your brick and mortar stores to do the same based on this, what we call wisdom of the crowd data? And why not tell your staff crew, all right, use this data. This product, for example, is of high margin, or this product is very popular at the moment. So why don't you change your merchandising in your store to, in the end, make sure that you sell these products, and will have a massive impact on popularity, on sales, on margin rates, and so on and so on. So I think we should stop seeing these two areas as separate, and really combine these as much as possible. And I believe data would be the key to do so in general.
Yeah, nice.
All right, moving on to the next one. And we cannot avoid this topic, I believe, when we talk about omnichannel nowadays, which is personalization. As you can see, within the tips from Tweakwise, we focus more or less a little bit on the product discovery, as we call it. So it has everything to do with searching and finding the right products on your store, but also making sure that you sell relevant products for you and for the customer. And now we're talking about personalization, and what we believe is that personalization in general is very powerful when it's real time. And what you can do in the brick and mortar store, you can look at the customer, you can see what he or she is doing. They take something off the rack, they try something on, they put it back maybe, and based on that, you can give real time, as a sales crew, you can give real time recommendations. For example, saying, oh, I saw you fitting this and this product. Maybe you also like this, or this shirt will fit perfectly with this trousers, for example. And again, this way of thinking, you can also apply to your e-commerce environment, to your online store. And because you can track online as well what somebody is doing, and this video is already starting, and you can see that somebody is clicking, somebody is searching, the customer is browsing through your store, and based on these interactions that they are doing, you can provide real-time recommendations, real-time personalization, to make sure that the products that they will see on your online store are relevant, and are relevant to the interactions that they had on the store. And here you see a nice example of one of our customers that did this based on A/B testing, and they really tried to say, okay, what is the product you last viewed? And based on that, they give, well, recommendations like brand preference, style preference, and this can have, as you can see as well, a major impact. And in this case, it increased turnover with 10% only on this category. So this can be really powerful if you can do the same as you do in store, also online as well. Yeah. Right.
Maybe before we go to the next tip, we are halfway the tips, so to say. I already see a few questions dripping in. Lovely to answer them, and well, if you have any questions, let us know in the Q&A section of this webinar. The first one is about the composable tech stack. How do you get to the point where you actually have a composable tech stack? Maybe Linnea, this one is for you.
Yeah, of course, it's a big question. And I think the main thing is to remember you don't have to do everything at once, or you should not do probably everything at once. Start with like the low-hanging fruit. In many cases, it is the store, because that is where you meet the customer. That is where you have like changes making the biggest impact. So focus on that first, and then turn your like energy and focus towards your ERP and backend systems. That I would say. So start with the low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, good tips. Good tips. And of course, Paul, we discussed using reviews in your ranking and merchandising sorting. There are a few questions as well. One is that return rates are not always available in an e-commerce platform. Can this data be imported in Tweakwise?
Yeah, when we talk about Tweakwise in general, yes, we can use data from different sources. It can be Google Analytics, can be ERP systems, CMS, everything actually that you want, you can import and you can use based on this. So the short answer is yes, we can definitely get these kind of data in Tweakwise to use in sorting and use in filtering as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a quite open system, so to say, and
yeah,
the more data, the better data.
Definitely,
the better
definitely.
the tooling. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the second question for you, Paul, is can reviews be used in filtering and sorting? I guess that's a yes. We showed an example.
Yeah, I think that's a definite yes. We see a lot of customers use it in sorting, but also in filtering is quite well. I'm thinking of the example of Booking.com, for example. It's of course different area, but I think there also a lot of customers use this in the filtering to really make sure that the choice overload, and that's maybe a nice bridge also to the next tip already, is getting lower. So filtering, of course, you do by to make sure that you have a small selection of products, and I think reviews is a very good one to add to your filtering in general.
Yeah, we see it actually both in B2C and B2B areas, very effective. Yeah. The last question before we head to tip number 6. How could we make the in-store experience more data-driven? You already mentioned, Paul, a little bit about wisdom of the crowd, the generic data we receive online. How could we apply that also offline in stores?
Well, I think maybe even Linnea can answer this even better, but I think there are different ways that you can do this. I think, again, a nice bridge to this tip is that you can use different tooling that you are having online. You can use within your store. Guided selling that we're going to talk about is a really good example of this by, for example, using screens in store. But also you can provide these kind of data to your staff members. It doesn't even necessarily needs to be visible to the customer, but it's great input also to make sure that, for example, your staff crew gets a daily update on what kind of products are popular. So what do we see online in Google Analytics data, and so on and so on. And if you are able to transfer this somehow to your brick and mortar stores, you make each other you make each other wiser, let's say, in terms of data, and you can really use it vice versa. In fact,
Yeah, but when we really think out of the box, it would be really cool when you enter the store, you hit a beacon, your wallet pops up with your loyalty card, and then you already get some recommendations of the day, for example.
Yeah,
that would be pretty cool concept, of course. Yeah.
There's none of our customers is currently doing it, but we are happy to help in this. So if there's somebody here in this webinar that thinks this is a great idea, please let us know, and let's see if we can do something like this, because indeed it would be a great one. Yeah.
All right, that's it for the midterm questions, so to say. Let's head towards tip number 6.
Yeah. All right. Well, I already made some bridges. Next one is talking about guided selling, which is it's not a new concept, but I think it's getting more and more popular currently within the online environment. But I will also explain how this can be of benefit in your brick and mortar stores in general. And what you see, and probably everybody is familiar with it, you enter a web store, you start searching for something, you filter something, and still, once you filter it on different filters or attributes, you still end up with thousands of products that you have to choose from. And in the end, you think, all right, it's too much, and I will just go away. And what we see also is that almost 50%, so almost half of the customers, have failed to complete a purchase online due to overwhelming choices, because you can imagine, of course, it's important to have more and more products. It's important to have a complete portfolio of products. However, as you can see in the paradox of choice on the right, is that yes, customer wants to have choice, but not too much. So there is, let's say, a threshold where you say, okay, now customers, it's too much, and they will get less and less happy. And guided selling can be of great influence on that. And the movie will start already is one of our customers, by the way. But guided selling in general is asking questions to the customer, and based on that, give a recommendation or give an advice on what kind of products are suitable for his or her situation in general. And this is very powerful because you give them the confidence that they are buying the right products. You are able to reduce the choice overload. And in the end, it will also have benefits for you as well, because you increase conversion rates, of course, because they are more confident to buy these products. Customers more satisfied, lower return rates that we already talked about, of course, and the chance of them getting back is bigger. So enhanced customer loyalty definitely on that part. But on the other hand, you can use these kind of tooling. And I think also that answers the question that we already got earlier. These kind of tooling you can also use in the store with, for example, a screen, or give a tablet to your sales crew that they can use to answer some questions from the customer and really give them a great advice on what product would be most suitable for his situation. And this will make sure you will have a seamless omnichannel retail experience. So and will be of great influence also on the ROPO effect, and I will talk about the ROPO effect a little bit later on as well. So I think Linnea will take the next one in this one.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I have other tip talking about store locations, because of course, stores are playing a huge part when we're talking about Omni strategy and how we work with Omni. What we can see today, if we move on, is that e-commerce expanding, but the brick and mortar stores are actually outpacing the growth when we're talking about sales as of today. And if we have growth in both channels, this really underscores the importance to have a good omni-channel strategy. And there is an effect that you can talk about that is called the halo effect. The halo effect means that if you establish a physical store in an area, your e-commerce stores will increase by an average of 37% within that area. So what some retailers has done is to actually look at their e-com traffic in the areas and the zip code areas where they have high traffic, high conversion rate. They establish a physical sales channel, a regular store, a pop-up store, a showroom, whatever it may be. And you could think that the physical sales channel should compete with the e-com channel, but actually you have growth in both areas. So within that zip code area, you have a increased like average 37% conversion rate on your e-com. So you will expand the e-com sales when establishing new physical sales channels. So what I'm trying to say with this, of course, is that a value metric within Omni is actually the zip code. Like just plain easy like that. Get these to collaborate, establish physical store locations where you have a high online traffic and high online sales.
All right, thanks. Moving on to tip number 8 already. We're moving fast actually. It's about creating the perfect blend of content and commerce in your online store. And actually that's more about how am I able to let's say more physicalize the online store and the e-commerce and to make a perfect blend of it. And I'll explain a little bit more about that, because we see in online is that the traditional web store function is conversion. It's products, it's specs, and making sure that people buy these products. But we see that this is getting broader nowadays. So we see that consumers or customers want some inspiration as well. Previously, they used, for example, Instagram or Pinterest for this, but nowadays you see that also customers are used to get this inspiration in the store, in the web store as well. So what you're trying to do, what you should do, is to make a perfect blend of this, to blend the content, to increase engagement, to increase loyalty, but also, of course, you need to still focus on, okay, how can I sell my product better to make sure that you have the conversion, you have the sales, and you have the profit in the end. And I will, and why is this important? Is that because 88% of the shoppers do the research online before they're making purchase. So if you are able to engage with them, if you are able to inspire them on your online store, the chance of them buying the product at your online store or even in your brick and mortar store is much higher in this case. So what we see in the market, and this is an example of IKEA, is that these blending of commerce and content is getting more and more popular. So here you can see an example of a real nice, more Pinterest-like view of the products, and in the end you will go to the product. So there's a great combination of content and commerce in the end, because you want to sell the product. Another great example is Zalando, talking about an overload of choices. They try to minimize this as well, to put some visual filtering in the category pages, but also add influencers, for example. So you're combining more like the social media within your lister pages and your search results. And this will have a big impact on conversion, but also on the loyalty and retention. I think loyalty and retention is very important in that sense as well. And more often, it's also increasing the rope effect. And I talked about this some slides before as well. And the rope effect we see is the research online and purchase offline. So we saw already that a lot of customers are researching online to, in the end, buy the products. And we know that over half of the customers want to see and touch an item before they're buying. So if you are able with commerce and content to inspire your customer in the online store, then the chance of them going to your store physically, try the product and buy it in the end will be much higher. So this is, I think, a great combination of both worlds in this sense, combining the online world with the brick and mortar stores.
Super. And on that tip, also like using your data, using that in real time, you also have to think about it when you optimize your inventory management. And how do you optimize your inventory management? Of course, like real-time data is key. You need to know, what do I have in my different store locations, stock locations, to be able to sell between channels, stores, and so on and so forth. That is like the baseline. But you also need to use your data to optimize that you have the right products in the right stock location at all times. So maybe in like the physical stores in store location A, it is important to have a certain product in a high like stock level, but it's not as important in store B. So try to use that data to optimize the stock management. But of course, you cannot foresee everything. I know, like, if we go back to TikTok again, because that is just so crazy how that works today. A dress, for example, can be super popular overnight and be sold out everywhere, and people are just like standing in queues to buy this. Of course, then it's hard to foresee. But then it's important also that you work with these flexible like delivery options, so you can order from like the central warehouse or directly from the like factory who makes them, or so on and so forth. So you open up and secure yourself that you don't lose sales, and that you are flexible in this. And alongside of this, if we move on to my final like takeaway for this, is that you have to empower your brand champions in store. And when I'm talking about brand champions, I'm talking about your sales associates, the heroes that are meeting your clients every day, cater their needs, helping them to get a good CX. And what we can see is that if you have happy employees, you will have happy customers. And how is this like connected to the Omni journey, of course? Well, what we see if we move on is that your employees do want to, they like do want to help your clients. They want to say yes. They want to like help them with omni journeys. They want to like provide them with all service that is necessary, but they also need the tools to do so. So as a retailer, you have to make sure that you empower the store associates with like real-time information, 360 view of the purchase journey, 360 view of the customer, connect your sales channels in real time, enable the stores to be used as fulfillment centers. This, like together with a smiling face, of course, will give your clients and customers a very good like shopping experience, and they will become loyal. They will be like recommend you to others. They will buy more in all the channels. Like, so that is the base of Omni. But of course, also, if we talk about your store associates, don't forget to train them in your Omni strategy. They also need training, proper training in this, and empower them with the tools to provide excellent customer service. Because well-trained staff with the right tools are more capable of providing a good customer experience. So what you need to do is like embrace the digitalization, meet new ways of shopping, and actually help the store associates to help your client. So yeah, that was my final one.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Linnea and Paul, of course. As we
Well,
already
actually,
mentioned, we have one more thing left. Yes, yes.
yeah.
Go ahead, Paul.
So we couldn't stay with the 10 tips that we already had, and we just wanted to give one bonus tip. Same as personalization. If you talk about omnichannel nowadays, I think AI in general, you cannot avoid this topic. So this bonus tip, we just want to send out this message. Don't make your online store a black box. And what we mean by this is, yes, there is a lot of AI, there's a lot of tooling, also like Tweakwise is a tool in general. But please make sure always that you are in control as a business, that you can make your business rules, that you know how your online store is acting, instead of AI doing all the work. And by doing this, you can still make sure that you follow your own strategy, that you follow your own business ruling, and really your shop is behaving like you want to. You're selling the products that you want to. And again, AI, definitely you should embrace it. Definitely you should use it, but only if it supports your human intelligence, let's say. So this is just a takeaway. When you think about purchasing tooling for your shop, think about, okay, do I still have the influence I want on what my shop is doing and what the customer is experiencing on my shop? And well, that was my last giveaway, let's say, Ronald.
Yeah, always important to stay in control, like,
Definitely.
and that's a major thing.
Sure.
We have a few minutes remaining, and I would like to address a few more questions in the chat, in the Q&A section. Linnea, this one is for you, I guess. With the Sitoo POS, is it possible you can see earlier bought products? So maybe for a shop champion, so
Yes.
to say, can you make those insights happen?
Absolutely, and you can connect it also with the CDP or CRM system.
Okay.
You can get full like history of the client and the member.
Yeah, nice. And those insights are very, very useful while assisting, helping in stores, etc. Yeah, and also online, of course. Are there already examples known of online data being used in store to optimize the in-store customer experience? Are you guys aware of such a case or such an application?
You're asking both of us?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, like all our clients are using their online data to, or not all, but of course, the big extent of our customers are using their online data to actually increase their sales in store and also find better ways of working in store. Absolutely.
Yeah, and then, for example, like most popular products of the week, and then they display it on a prominent place in the local stores.
Yeah, I cannot agree more. I think the in-store displays, guided selling in store, stuff like that is also using data and tooling and data in that sense. But also the idea that we have, and I think you mentioned it as well, is changing your merchandising, changing the shelf layout of your store based on data, based on online data. Change this regularly instead of having it per season, for example. So that I think, I'm not sure if a lot of merchants are doing it right now, but I think it's a really great one to start looking at and working on.
Yeah, agree. All right, I think that's it for today, guys. Thanks for these lovely insights, and I think data is a very important topic we discussed. That's maybe the red line on all the tips. Of course, tech stack should be able to support the omnichannel journeys, and there's quite some useful tips. Good to go. For the audience, thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening. And feel free to reach out to one of us if you have any additional questions. That's it for today. Having a nice day and talk soon.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.